In the years 21 and 50, when humanity is on the brink of extinction due to a severe shortage of oxygen on Earth, a state of chaos prevails as people desperately seek oxygen. During this time, scientists discover that there is a vast reservoir of oxygen at a certain location on the moon. Now the question is, who in the field of science will be able to supply oxygen from the moon? Will he be able to resolve the crisis, or is there some corruption and a terrifying conspiracy behind it? Let's find out. At the very beginning of the story, we see an astronaut named Sam on the moon. He is helping to alleviate Earth's oxygen crisis by supplying it from the moon. Here we learn that Sam Bell has come to the moon from Earth for a 3-year term. He goes about his daily work and keeps himself safe. One day, he goes out for work, that is to say. He collects the stored oxygen from the storage area and brings it back to his lab. Then, to send it to the people on Earth, he takes the help of the robot Gertie. Here, his only companion was this robot Gertie, with whom he regularly talked and kept his mind healthy through all these activities. His days were going quite well. Suddenly one day his wife video calls him, but this video call seems quite curious to us. Anyway, it's important to remember this video call. He tells his wife that he will be returning to Earth in just 3 weeks and will see them soon. He also reveals that these 3 weeks feel even harder to him than 3 years. With that, they end the call. We see Sam Bell spending a lonely night with his wife. You get the idea. But this night he spends, it was only in his dreams. Suddenly, he wakes up. The sound of the alarm clock jolts him awake, and he goes about his daily routines. Finally, he gets ready to head back to the gas storage unit. He drives the lunar vehicle through the desolate lunar desert toward the mission site, and just like every day when he goes to maintain the gas pipeline, at that very moment, a sudden and terrible impact occurs, and Sam Bell is struck violently. The force of the blow knocks him unconscious right there. From this point, everything changes. We see Sam Bell lying in a room in the medical chamber, and as he opens his eyes, Gertie asks him, "Are you feeling better now?" Sam tells Gertie that he is fine, but Sam asks, "What happened to me?" The robot Gertie replies, "You had an accident at 1 o'clock. Do you remember anything about the accident?" Sam confidently says, "No, I don't remember anything." Here, we start to feel suspicious because Sam Bell is supposed to be alone on the moon, surviving by himself. Anyway, he gets back to his daily routine, but this time, new questions start to arise in Sam Bell's mind, and he keeps calling to be let outside. Even though he doesn't have any permission to go out except during work hours, after a lot of insistence at the gate, Gertie finally agrees and unlocks the outer gate for him. As he drives the lunar vehicle, he suddenly sees another person. He quickly picks him up and brings him to the lab and angrily tells Gertie about this man. Gertie doesn't respond, but simply tells him to take the man to the medical chamber. Here we start to understand. The robot will only say and do what has been programmed into it. So instead of getting angry, Sam quickly takes the man to the medical chamber. Within a few hours, the man regains consciousness. But what's surprising here is that the man Sam rescued looks exactly like him. When the man regains consciousness, he claims to be Sam Bell and asks the robot Gertie who the person standing in front of him is. Gertie tells him, "You were seriously injured in an accident. You need to rest now." Meanwhile, the Sam Bell who rescued the second man was talking to his wife, but just a few days ago, he had spoken to his wife, yet his wife said it had been many years since they last talked. The whole thing felt very strange. The call gets disconnected. The second Sam Bell was walking inside the lab. Again, he sees the first Sam. At first, he becomes very troubled and keeps asking himself, "Am I going crazy day by day?" The whole thing seems very strange to us as well, because apart from Sam Bell on the moon, there was no one else. So how could there be another person who looks just like him? But the first Sam doesn't say anything. In this situation, we start to think that maybe the second Sam is real and the first one is just a hallucination. Several days pass like this. After that, we see that the second Sam has recovered quite a lot. At this time, the first Sam approaches the second Sam and the two of them start talking. We realize that both of them have the same memories. Their wife and daughter are the same. Only the people are different, two separate individuals. The second Sam couldn't understand this and kept insisting that he was the real one. On the other hand, The first Sam understands and later says so. Somewhere in this lab, there is a secret clone room at 1 o'clock where there are many more clones like us. But the second Sam does not want to believe it. At first, the first Sam starts tearing apart the whole lab like a madman, searching for that room. The second Sam was not on board with this, so a terrible fight breaks out between them. Since the second Sam was weaker, he gets beaten by the first Sam and ends up bloodied. After a while, distance grows between them as well, but the first Sam does not give up. He keeps searching. Finally, he finds the secret room, and his suspicion turns out to be true. There, he sees that there are many more clones just like them. When he tells the second Sam, he is shocked, and a sense of unity begins to form between the two of them. Just imagine, first of all, the world is facing a terrible crisis of oxygen. Without it, humans would perish within seconds. On the other hand, those who are collecting this oxygen are being treated like mere puppets in a game. Isn't it strange how bizarre this is? Our lives are just as strange, where people are forced to work like animals for money. Anyway, let's not dwell on reality, let's get back to the main story. Next, we see that the first and second samples have started to unravel these mysteries before them. The wife they spoke to was actually an old video recording. The whole situation becomes completely clear to them, and they realize that this lab operates in a cycle. On the other hand, the company is making billions in the name of collecting oxygen. In reality, each Sam Bell clone has a lifespan of 3 years. After these 3 years, they themselves will either be deactivated automatically or meet with some kind of accident, and then the next clone will wake up. The new clone will be welcomed, just like the previous one, and told that there was an accident. They come to understand this entire process very clearly. But the second Sam gradually becomes very sick and weak because his lifespan is almost at its end. At that point, the second Sam tells the first Sam, "My chance of survival is only 0.001%. In other words, I am definitely going to die. Death is very close to me now. You should wake up another clone. Leave me here and you go back to Earth." Hearing this, the first Sam feels emotional, but there is nothing he can do. There is no hope of survival except for this plan. So, they go to the robot Gertie and tell him to wake up another clone. Gertie replies, "This is outside my programming. It is not possible in any way to wake up the next clone before the 3-year term is over." But seeing all these events and the current situation, the robot system malfunctions and it goes out of control. After many requests, the robot finally agrees, as if its brain has now become like a human's. Later, we see the robot preparing to wake up the third clone. All the work is done. Now, only the first Sam has to go to Earth. Just at that moment, the robot suddenly tells him, "If the company checks my system as soon as you leave, they will find out all the information about this conspiracy and you could be in danger, so I don't want you to get hurt before you reach Earth. Reset me before you go so that I can automatically reboot and create new memory, erasing all old data or information." Following the robot's instructions, Sam sets the timer and resets it. Now, according to the plan, the only thing left is to set off for Earth. Leaving the lab, he heads to the lunar launch pad from where rockets depart for Earth. After making sure everything is in order, he boards the massive rocket and begins his journey toward Earth. As the rocket enters Earth's atmosphere, news is heard on the media. The news reports that the hero astronaut of the oxygen mission, Shar, is successfully returning to Earth. With this news, the story comes to an end. Although this story is fictional, its narrative touches the heart. So let us know in the comments how you liked the story. And if you want to hear more interesting and selected movie stories like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and stay with us. See you in the next new video. Until then, goodbye.